And now we sing. Do, 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 do. No one else is singing.
Dun-da-dum.
I command you to sing. No, okay.
People run away, man.
Hey, everybody. This is KOPN's Tech Radio. In the studio, we've got me, Mike. We've got across from me, John. Say hello,
Yes,
John.
I am here. Hello.
Great. And Nabil.
Hey, hey.
Great. That's our microphone check right now. What we do on KOPN Tech Radio is we scour the web for the latest and greatest news in technology, computers, internet, mobile, social media, some science and biology and whatnot, and a little bit of space if you can tolerate it. And then we bring it all to you here on the airwaves at 6 p.m. every Monday. You can also follow a lot of our stories on our Facebook page, KOPN Tech Radio, and you can follow our Twitter, KOPN Tech Radio. John, Nabil, if you got any stories to start us off with.
Yeah, I do. We are now in the time of the after button.
The after button.
The after button. So, for those that don't know, this all started off back on April 1st. This guy put up a website that had nothing more than a button that said click or don't click. If you clicked, then the timer would increase by 1 second. If you did not click, the timer would decrease by 1 second. And it ended up being this war between the clickers and the non-clickers.
This sounds a lot like the Reddit button.
That is the Reddit button.
Oh, okay.
It is the Reddit button. That's what we're talking about.
Oh, I thought you're... Yeah, it goes up... I thought that's the button that resets to a minute. And that ticks down to 0.
I might have the way it works wrong.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
But yes, the button, we are now in the time of the after button. The timer ran out on the button, and no one clicked the button. And it exists no more.
So it just went away.
It just disappeared.
It was successfully unclicked.
And so Reddit had this whole humongous post detailing all of the religions that came out of the button. And 2 people got married because of the button. And a couple people got divorced because of the button. Because one guy found his wife's account logged in, and she was one of the non-clickers, and he was one of the clickers, and it ended in divorce.
Well, although that may have been a last straw thing.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking that's not the sole cause.
I doubt it.
Or if it is,
it's probably a good thing.
Probably a good thing they separated. It was other issues involved.
Yeah.
But, yeah, okay. So the religion's false now.
Well, no, the religions continue on because we're now in the time of the after button. And so we have clicker zombies all over the place.
So this is like the post-apocalypse.
Yeah.
After the rapture kind of thing. I don't know. Make up your religion context if you wish. They'll call some emails. All right, so there we go. Well, I'm trying to hunt down that story I had all queued up for today. And
what's it about, John?
Well, that's the thing. What's it about? It made such an impression on me. Something happened on the internet. So, anyway, let's go to the more predictable stories. Of course, we're now done with Google I/O, and there's WWDC. Which, is it finished yet? Or is it still rolling?
WWDC, I think it is maybe over.
And I'm presuming that's where Justin is, because I don't know, and so I'm just going to assume. Justin's not with us today, by the way. He is off doing something important that I don't know what it is. But he is, actually he warned us, so it was a scheduled thing. But
does it improve the quality of the show any?
Well, to cover WWDC, yes, actually it does, because he follows that
for later.
Yeah, we'll have to do that next week. So I do know some of the things that came out of the conference. None of them really jumped out at me, to be frank.
They're pushing Swift, and that's about it.
Yeah, their new language they're pushing that's kind of be sort of cross-platform, just like Microsoft's things are now cross-platform-ish.
And they're open sourcing it.
Yeah, certainly the graphical API is being pushed into a more open direction, forcing everyone to rewrite their iOS apps again.
I mean, I remember when Microsoft used to follow Apple, not Apple follow Microsoft.
Yeah, well, I think they're all leaking to each other, so I don't know who's first, really. But this will be the last of the series of the big player conferences, because we had Microsoft first, Google last, and after that, and now Apple.
Yep.
We'll be done with that for a while.
Actually,
none of them had big announcements.
They did announce a new version of iOS, of OS. What do you call it? Mac OS.
Oh, the Mac OS, yeah. 10. El Capitan. Something like that, they're calling it.
Yeah.
In which they made some subtle changes.
Nothing very major.
Yeah.
They're focusing on performance enhancements.
Yes. The new graphical API.
The arrow points to the left now.
Yes.
No, it totally doesn't do that.
Although, it's a trivial thing, but it's I can see why they did it. With the new OS, if you wiggle your mouse a lot, the mouse gets bigger. The little pointer gets bigger.
Really?
Just temporarily, and then it shrinks back up.
Oh, okay.
Which, actually, if you think about it, how many times have you lost your mouse? I mean, you can't find out where on the screen it is.
Well, in Windows, you activate the little
trailer
radar. You activate the radar where you press the control button and you get the radar. And it goes boop.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that a Windows 8 thing?
No, it's a Windows XP thing.
Really?
Really? Wow, they've not advertised that well. I've never heard of that before. I'll be using that from now on. There's a radar.
Yeah, you press the control key one time,
it
and
works
you get
for
a
me
little and you get a little zoomy bubble over your mouse.
It's especially bad for people with multiple monitors.
Oh, sure.
Because it's easy to forget where you're at. You're like, why isn't my mouse working? It's like, oh, it's over there. You know, the little mouse pointer moved on you and you didn't pay attention. And I've got a 4K monitor. It's actually just an old... It's a TV I converted. But now that's really easy to lose your mouse.
Yeah.
I usually just keep scrolling it to the upper left until it finally shows up there. And then I keep track again.
Hey man, real programmers use a keyboard.
Yeah. They have solved the first world problem. If you shake your mouse. It's back. All right. They've got a new iOS 9 and a new version of Windows.
Mac OS.
There's some new font they're coming out with, which I don't know why they're doing that. They've got better sleep mode. Everyone's improving their sleep modes.
Battery, I guess, is a big thing.
Yeah, they're improving battery life for everything.
Good.
I guess in lack of anything else that's coming out. I think they're getting conservative to some extent because they keep adding features. Oh, okay. Is that better? They keep adding features, and the newer features aren't compelling. I mean, they're talking about their Apple Pay thing, but
no one's taking that.
But no one's really going, wow, I've got a new way to have a credit card. And
they did the Apple Watch thing, and everyone was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nothing's jumping in the industry as far as the big players are going.
Underwhelmed.
Yeah. Which is probably a point of concern for both Apple and Microsoft. Google doesn't care because they own you. They know everything about you thanks to their AIs, and they're not too concerned about it.
They can measure how underwhelmed we are.
It may even be a strategy. The AI says we should be underwhelming this month. Make it so. I don't know where I'm going with that. We'll learn more about the WWDC next week, and I'm sure. What's other news? We got
the light sail deployed.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So Carl Sagan. Well, this is the incarnation of Carl Sagan's little thought experiment, and it's headed off by Bill Nye the Science Guy. And basically, what they did was they put this big, huge basketball field-sized sail out in orbit, and the idea was that as photons from the sun hit the sail, it would push the craft forward ever so slightly. Mm-hmm. So they've had they launched it, and when they launched it, they had a couple of issues where the thing went dark for a little while, and then the sails didn't deploy, and everyone thought it was going to end in a huge catastrophe. But they managed to save it at the last second, and the sails have successfully deployed, and right now it's not going anywhere. It's actually going to deorbit and head back towards the Earth and burn up in the atmosphere. But it will give them enough data to
determine just how much pressure is on the sail.
Yeah, to say, if this is actually...
For those that don't follow this, one of the challenges with any spacecraft is the problem with
long-term
propellant.
Fuel.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, even if you have infinite energy, you have an infinite energy supply. In the end, even if you shot each atom of propellant out the back of the craft at the speed of light, which is as fast as you can go, or near the speed of light, in the end, you're going to run out of propellant. So if you're trying to do something crazy long-term, like fly to another star, you're going to run out of gas. And you're going to stop accelerating, and more importantly, when you get there, you're not going to be able to decelerate and go the other direction. In principle, with the idea of the light sail, is you're actually just pointing at just a big flat surface and pointing it at the sun, and the photons of light from the sun bounce off the material, which essentially those photons are your propellant and your source of energy.
It's kind of like a sail, but instead of going off of wind, you're going off of photons.
Off of photons, which there's a near infinite supply of those just being
continuously generated.
Sure, it'll die out after 5 billion years or so.
But by that time, hopefully it'll be close enough to another star.
Yeah, their Facebook page will have closed by then, so that's someone else's problem. Well, the idea is, though, it'd be an exponential increase as well, because as you add more acceleration, your speed goes up. It doesn't slow down because there's no friction in space. So in theory, you should get faster and faster and faster. So even if it's a slight, very, very tiny breeze, eventually you'll go faster and faster, and it'll add up. And then at the halfway point, you can turn around. So whereas it's pretty much not possible for the two probes that have left our solar system already, they were just basically, like, the Voyagers are on their way out now.
Yeah.
They're on their way out now because we have no means of turning them around. That's not a planned thing. They're just going to keep on going for thousands of years, and
those things are running off of nuclear reactors.
Yeah, they won't run out of energy. But they have no ability to do anything.
Yeah.
Whereas these might actually do something, granted in a time period that we'll never see.
I mean, the thing is, when you're talking about these kinds of distances, to communicate, where you end up taking days to send a message back and forth, eventually years to send a message back and forth, depending upon how far you can get.
Yeah. Having said all that, you got the basic problem with you get the Moore's Law problem with any projects like that, which is, let's say you design a craft that could get to the next star in 1,000 years.
From now to 1,000 years, can we beat that?
Right. It'll be the last craft to reach that star, because 10 years from now, it'll get there in 500 years.
Yeah.
And then 10 years from then, it'll get there in 250 years. And at some point, you're going, well, why did we launch the first one? Other than there'll be interstellar museum pieces you can fly past on the way and say, oh, look, we launched that back in 2015. It's still on its way. Wave at it as we pass.
Look, children. This is an artifact from the Earth.
It's kind of a catch-22 to most of those things. I've had long discussions with folks about that, working out the numbers. There comes a point when your ability to improve the speed is overwhelmed by the fact that you can get there anyway. In other words, if it's there in a convenient period of time, then it doesn't matter if you can double your speed. But if it's... never mind. Let's not get into that in the show. It's not meant to be a philosophy show on space travel. Although, if you wish to add to that discussion, you're more welcome to give us a call. Our number is 443-8255. For those, by the way, we all are putting this show on the YouTube. So if you do call in, you will end up on YouTube. That's a requirement we have to say on the show, because most people are expecting just to be listened to.
Your voice will end up on YouTube.
Yeah, it'll reach far beyond Columbia, Missouri. It'll get out there. So, your face, however, will not be on the show.
It will be viewed 20 times.
Is that how many views we got on the last video show?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
So I have a funny little story.
All right.
So the FBI has been flying these surveillance aircrafts all over the U.S. And the way they've done it is that they've set up a bunch of shell corporations, and these corporations are the ones that fly the aircrafts.
Nothing says legitimacy like shell corporations.
Exactly, by the government.
Go ahead.
And the story isn't about that, because, that by now that shouldn't be surprising. The story is this guy who monitors air traffic anyway with less than $500 worth of equipment was the guy actually broke the story before the AP broke the story. Yeah.
Okay, so you're just the lead in the canary in the coal mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and it was really simple. All he did was set up a little antenna hooked up to a USB programmable radio, hooked that up to a Raspberry Pi, and just had it sit there and listening and record it. And the planes broadcast all kinds of information I didn't even know about. They apparently just broadcast their call signs. They're called squawk symbols or something like that. They broadcast their GPS locations, their altitudes, their speeds, all of that. And it's all in the clear text, and he's been picking it up. And he's even mapped all of the flights that have flown over this little area of Los Angeles that he can cover. And from that data, he actually found these two aircrafts that seemed kind of a little odd, a little off. And he checked them out, and they were owned by these shell companies, and he kind of put the story out there.
Okay. By the way, if the FBI or NSA is listening,
Hi,
first off. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to like our page.
KOPN Tech Radio on Facebook.
Yeah, or YouTube. Subscribe. Subscribe now. Anyway, where am I going with this?
we don't have to. We already picked it up.
They have our own subscription system. Privacy's dead.
Yeah.
This could be true for you, too. I don't think that community's really latched on to, not only are they able to now see more than they've ever seen before people's private lives.
People are able to see more
it's
about
both directions.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it's, like it or not, it's going to be an emergent property of the technologies we're coming out. It doesn't even have to be some scheme of some evil people scheming something behind the scenes. We'll know the world. No, it'll be just everyone will know the world. The far greater detail than I am comfortable with, but I don't know how to stop it since that's what's going to happen.
I mean, do we?
I can't stop it because I want my self-driving car. In the end, convenience will win.
Okay.
That's one of my catchphrases I say all the time. That and the truth is boring.
Actually, the truth is interesting, man.
It is if you like details.
Yeah.
If you like the details, it is interesting. If you don't like the details, the truth doesn't play well on TV.
And if the truth was boring, man, our show wouldn't be that great.
Yeah. Our 20 subscribers prove that is not the case. All right, where we are. What else is in the news? We got
Apple launched announced a streaming music market.
They did that a while ago.
Well, no, they didn't. Today is called Apple Music, and you could stream anything in the Apple iTunes store for $10 a month.
They did that because there was this whole scuffle between them and Spotify because they were strong.
Well, you might be thinking of Apple Radio.
Maybe.
That's a little different.
I thought they were both, but they're both streaming services. Can you stream it on demand? So, like, if I pay $10 a month, can I stream on demand any song that I want to from?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Okay, because with Apple Radio, you just got to tune in.
And they gave you whatever song they wanted to give you.
Yep.
Within certain genres.
Yeah, it was kind of more like Last.fm and Pandora. Mm-hmm. You didn't get to choose what you listened to, but they kind of tried to tune it to what you liked. But for this, you actually get to pick out the song that you want to listen to.
This will also enable artists to share songs directly with fans. It includes a global 24-station named Beats One, a la the Dr. Dre Beats that they've got. And you could personalize your own radio stations with it. So that was part of the announcement at WWDC today. And a link to that entire story is on Facebook, KOPN Tech Radio. I'm going to keep mentioning that until someone likes our page.
So the Hyperloop might be real, might come into reality. A company called HHT, Hyperloop something or HTT, something like that. Hyperloop some or other technologies has gotten a contract with California to build a 50-mile test stretch for the Hyperloop.
50?
50.
Okay.
Which isn't that long.
Yeah, but I'm about to link a story that only has 5.
5? I thought it was 50. I could be wrong about that one.
Fair enough.
I found my story. But go ahead and do your thing.
All I'm doing is linking these stories to the page. It's you guys are talking about it.
All right. SourceForge. Those not familiar with it, in the open source community, and in the Linux community, SourceForge is oftentimes considered to be an authoritative source.
Traders.
Yeah, I know. And that comes where a good lead into our story. SourceForge, which also owns Slashdot, which is a site that I use, although it's not as good as it used to be. It's going downhill, but that's a completely different topic. It's basically been taken over by marketers who have been doing some things that are somewhat questionable, and in the open source community, these latest things they've been doing are pretty much killing them. They're pretty much going downhill now. Essentially what they've done is they found that some people have so what SourceForge is, it's a place to keep your files.
It's a place to keep your source code and your compiled files for a project you're working on.
So if you're making a web browser, kind of like a Firefox thing or something like that, and you've got 500 programmers across the world all working on it, there's got to be a repository, a place to store all the files and share everything. And I make my changes and I put it into the system, and other people check it to make sure it's working well with the other parts of the system, and it's all coordinated that way. Well, SourceForge was for a long time the place for repositories. Well, now they've got competitors.
GitHub.
GitHub is the big one, and there's a few other of them out there that are kind of picking up speed. And rather than compete with GitHub by improving their quality and features, which they didn't. That's the weird thing. It's not a complex thing that GitHub's doing.
No.
But they never changed or upgraded or even supported Git.
It still looks like 95.
Yeah, it's like they didn't change anything. They didn't put any effort into it. At any rate, when people have moved their projects, the most recent story was about NPM, which is a means of distributing... I don't remember what NPM is.
Node models.
Node models, yeah. It's a security function in software. They moved to GitHub.
Oh, you mean Nmap? NPM was never... yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's like, they're their own repository.
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense.
Nmap.
I'm sorry, Nmap. That makes much more sense. They moved to GitHub, and I don't know if they canceled their old account or just went idle, but essentially, even if you cancel your account with Slashdot, they consider it a civic duty to reawaken dormant projects, and essentially just copy what's being done on another website back to their website. Now, if that was all they were doing,
it'd be okay.
Iffy, not so okay for Nmap, which is a security software, where now you're working with a third party that's not necessarily trusted than from the original authors. But even then, they'd probably have gotten away with it. No one would have said anything. But what they were doing was they're essentially copying that code over and then installing malware into the installer. They give you extra things like a
junkware,
a new toolbar for your browser that you didn't want.
It's kind of like things you go when you go to download.com and you download it.
Yeah, download.com has got that. You've got to opt out of a lot of things just to get the installer.
Yeah, so SourceForge was doing the same thing, and they didn't do it just with Nmap. They did it with GIMP.
A few other projects out there, yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes to the detriment of the software itself, but even in the cases where that wasn't the case, it put stuff on your computer you didn't want. And
you didn't know you wanted yet, you mean?
Yeah. Thanks for the marketing push.
But I mean,
that's ignoring the fact that they've been sliding for a while, because they also have those ads that make it look like we download here will be what the ad would say.
And that's not really where
that's
you want to download.
That's not it at all.
No, those are...
The real download button's hidden somewhere. You have to go find it.
Mm-hmm.
But even now, if you do find it, they'll put stuff on you that you didn't appreciate. They've recently, as of this week, backed off on that policy.
Because it made a huge stink.
Because it made a huge stink. I suspect, though, once the reputation's damaged, it's damaged.
Yeah.
I think,
certain people, anyway.
I think there's going to be a mass exodus of people off of SourceForge.
Because the thing is, all these people that are or were there, like Nmap and GIP, these are open source projects. They are the antithesis of what SourceForge was doing.
Right. Whether you agree with the idea that commercialism is evil or whatever because I don't, but some of the programmers of those groups, that's like their mantra. To do that to that group, to put ads and commercial malware onto their baby.
Right.
They spent all those years sweating and making themselves so that people could have it for free without malware on it.
Right, and especially if they're not
and then turn around and put malware on it and pretend that that's okay. I mean, they may not have broken any laws. In fact, actually, they specifically haven't because of the way open source works.
Right.
The ultimate irony there. But now you just trashed your reputation, though.
Yeah.
And, which is a shame because they actually did a useful thing when they were a sole source of authority.
They were.
Because it used to be people would monitor the stuff on there, and because every once in a while someone would slip something bad onto the site, and other people complain about it and get it taken off.
Yeah, and that was the thing, it was open access. Anyone could go and you could go and download the source code and you could read it and you could check for changes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, they've been slowly being replaced by GitHub and Bitbucket and all kinds of other friends.
Yeah, that was the other one, Bitbucket. Yeah. Their selling point is that they're not as nice as GitHub, but they've got some really nice software. Have you tried their client GitHub software?
No, I haven't tried their client. Yeah. They have private repos. That's what it...
Yes. They both have private repos.
GitHub doesn't have it for free, though.
That's true. You have to pay for them.
Yep.
Yeah. In fact, I've got a disclaimer. I've got a paid-for account on GitHub, but I use for other stuff too. But
yeah.
But as it happens, I also have one with Atlassian, which is the guys that do the Bitbucket.
I mean, really, Bitbucket and that whole thing is kind of a showcase for Atlassian software.
Right.
Because they will happily sell it and set it up for an enterprise. And that's kind of a showcase of their software, which, honestly isn't that bad.
Well, yeah, they get clients free for everyone, even in the enterprise. But if you want the enterprise features...
Yes.
Then they got a different product that pulls it together. Or if you want to run your own repository system within your own building, they'll gladly sell you that too. So it's now to them it's an advertising, but it's a subtle one since they're not like putting banner ads on it.
No, I mean I think it's a demo. I think that's probably one of the most effective ways. I don't know about effective, but to me, if I see a demo of something, that would be.
It's kind of like a company giving you a free device that you actually use and find useful, and as an idea that you'll be impressed by it and buy something else from them later.
Yeah.
Which is a form of advertising I don't think too many people would mind.
Yeah.
It's not nearly so insidious, but I use the word insidious like... The thing is, you hang out on these open source websites too long and your vocabulary changes. Gotta watch out.
I'm going to real quick take care of some station business, and we'll be right back with KOPN Tech Radio.
This program is brought to you by listener support and a donation from the Columbia Missourian. The Columbia Missourian just made your smart devices even smarter. The Missourian's new digital app suite lets you stay informed wherever you're going. Whether you use an iPhone, Android, iPad, Kindle Fire, or laptop, you can get all the breaking news and latest entertainment info, plus videos, photo galleries, and slideshows. More info at columbiamissourian.com. Your news, your device, your time.
The businesses, professionals, and organizations that underwrite KOPN's programming play an important part in your community radio station's financial health. When you visit a KOPN underwriter, please let them know that you appreciate their support of this station. More information about underwriting with KOPN is available at kopn.org or by calling 573-874-1139.
And we're back.
Hey.
That was pleasant. So until Apple releases iOS 9, I'm just going to talk about it every show and just say, hey, iOS 9's coming out. And it's coming out in the fall, so be ready for a deluge of me just being all excited about iOS 9.
But since they're imitating Microsoft, it's going to be late.
It's going to be late?
Oh, is OS 10 coming out late?
Well, since they're copying Microsoft.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Get it? Pun intended.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of that, Lollipop hit the double digits recently. 12% of the market or something like that.
Okay.
For
the Android operating system for Google phones?
I should probably preface that's an OS for Android.
Yeah.
Oh,
actually,
speaking of... an odd comment. Lollipops are 12%? What?
Never mind. It went away.
Did I ruin a moment?
That's okay. No, not really.
Did I save you?
Yeah.
All right.
iOS 8 has 83% on Apple devices.
Yeah, that's... Although I gotta say, if you don't... Unlike Android, most of your apps still work even if you don't upgrade. That's not the case with iOS.
I think it is.
Larger and larger.
I've had very few apps die.
With iOS 5 on it, I would say 2/3 of the apps either no longer function or they haven't been upgraded because the new version's long past them.
Well, if it's got iOS 5 on it, yeah.
Yeah, because that's like 4 years old.
Well, that's like 3 generations of the iOS.
Yeah.
It's a lot different if you're going incrementally. But I digress.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll just put another story on KOPN Tech Radio on Facebook and wait for everybody to go read it. I'm still waiting.
Where are we going here? It's actually been a fairly slow news week, which is kind of why nothing's really jumping out at us.
No.
With all these conferences, the tech companies aren't announcing things.
Because they don't want to get underwhelmed by the conferences.
Right. They'll get shoved out of the way. And then the tech conferences are showing really boring stuff.
And all the reporters are at the tech conferences, so they aren't reporting.
Yeah. So it's like, okay. I mean, Slashdot's showing things like that. Like, you start seeing speculative stuff because people get bored. Like, will insurance companies be shut down because of self-driving cars?
So I got an old story that we never talked about.
All right.
The New York Stock Exchange hasn't done it yet, but is planning to launch stock indexes, and they're going to use Bitcoin and the blockchain not as money, but as a way to record and verify transactions and stock prices. So they're going. So you can
trade off market, but still be authenticated.
So you can trade, and not just that, so that they are...
So they're going to use Bitcoin, tiny bits of Bitcoin as a way to authenticate transactions.
They're going to use the technology that Bitcoin uses to authenticate transactions, to authenticate stock market prices. That's what they're going to do. And this is interesting because, it will be a novel legitimate use for the the blockchain technology, which we haven't seen before. And the second thing is it tells you how closely the New York Stock Exchange really is looking at Bitcoin and that technology.
Yeah. Well, they don't have to worry about patent encumbering or copyright violation because not only is it not encumbered by patent or copyright, the guy that made it's hiding. We don't even know who he is.
No one knows who he is.
For a countersuit, he would have to identify who he was first. So,
but I mean, that is crazy. The fact that no one knows who he is.
Yeah, just rumor mill. That's all you get.
Yeah,
some guy,
some email address. That's all you have.
Guy or girl hiding out in the hills, and or living in the middle of the city, and or in the suburbs. You don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, it's digital.
The power of encryption, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, if he were discovered, would he be in trouble? I wouldn't think so.
I don't think he would be in trouble, but I think, launching something like that, I think he was
wise just to not.
Yeah.
There and just say, you know what, you guys play with this.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it directly because I don't believe was he compensated anything for this.
Well, yes and no. Yes, in that he got a pretty big number of bitcoins back when mining bitcoins was easy and cheap.
Oh, that's true. In the early days, it was easy to mine them.
It was easy to mine them, and for years and years and years and years, they were dirt cheap. They were like 40 cents a Bitcoin. I mean, I know a guy that bought them when they were like 40 cents a Bitcoin. I don't know if he ever held on to them or not. He was just like, oh yeah, this is cool, and I was playing with it. And so back then, if you were one of the beginners back then yeah, you could easily amass 100 or 1,000 Bitcoins, which today would be $30,000.
Yeah, but you can't buy anything on Silk Road anymore with it.
But there's legitimate exchanges for them now.
You can turn it into cash.
Yeah, I know.
And then you can buy the stuff on Silk Road.
Oh, okay.
Assuming that were your goal?
No.
Yeah. We talked about Swift earlier. Any comments on this move for large organizations to create their own language? I mean, you got Swift by Apple. You've got
Go by Google.
Go by Google. And these languages don't jump out to me as being unique, groundbreaking, different than the other languages out there, but it's their own, what they consider clean version of something. Oh, we on the air?
We have a caller on the air.
Oh, sorry.
Hello, caller.
Hey there. Been trying to call and connect with you through your website, and I tried sending John a TechRadio info, and that didn't go through, and went to your website, and that didn't link from KOPN, so I thought I'd give you a call.
Oh.
I'm a member of KOPN, and my curiosity was piqued by, the sun sale. And
sure.
The sun sale could work. The more interesting thing that's going on is converting light into a propulsional material. And the Russians are doing a pretty good job with that. You might want to look into that. The only other thing is to start getting into anti-gravity and creating a gravity well and slingshotting yourself. Anyway, you might want to troubleshoot your links, on KOPN, because I tried everything but this phone call, and, just call me a troubleshooter, or a troublemaker, such the case may be. And, that's what I wanted to respond to, but I couldn't do it through the website.
Yeah. Okay.
See you later, guys. Bye.
Thanks. Yeah, actually, I know we're having trouble with our web hoster for KOPN.radio.
Oh, for TechRadio.info?
TechRadio.info. What I need to do is move it. I even have another web host location where I can move it.
Okay.
I just need to go do it. That's a reminder to me on the show. John, move the website. As far as the email not working, I'll have to go hunt that down. I'm not sure why that's not working. That should go through. That's not our emails that we check independently. They're just forwards. They forward to our email addresses.
Right.
But it should pass, so I'll have to find out why.
It's something you did.
It probably is.
Who knows?
Yeah. It's GoDaddy's fault. That's where it's located. I've had such trouble with them over the years.
You're a mean man.
Who hasn't?
I know. It's like no one part of their system is broken. It's just all the parts of their system don't work with each other. It's just this huge disorganized array of technologies where each group doesn't talk to any other group. And if you call, and in their defense, if you call up their tech support line, the people that you talk to are very smart. And
the one thing that you call them about, you mean?
No, they're very good at working with the different competing departments that hate each other.
Okay.
And so they'll get past all of the...
So there's the email department versus the web hosting department versus the naming department and the...
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And they all have different systems that run on different languages and use different technologies. And so sometimes when one piece of your soft system has to work with another piece, there's like this... You'll see that, this will happen within the next 4 hours. It's like, really? That should occur like instantly. And that's because some human has to go get a queue up and go, I will now type what I see in that computer over into this computer. I swear that's how half of it works.
Oh, that's because you can't network between the two departments, man. Each one's got its own IP block.
Yeah, they have their own protocols they wrote inside. I don't know what happened. But no, the people on the phone, their skill set is in fact in the technology as well, but it's also getting past their own bureaucracies. That's a good skill set to have.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's what GoDaddy's wanting to hear about.
Their service.
Their service, but that is, there's much money to be made in overcoming bureaucracies. That's a good career building choice.
So what were we talking about?
Oh,
languages,
yes.
Rust and Go, and what was the other one? Swift.
That's Apple's new thing. They want all the programmers to switch to Swift, their own language.
So they're phasing out Objective-C. I mean, I'm not following up on the iOS stuff, so correct me if I'm wrong, but they're phasing out Objective.
Not phasing it out, they're just co-phasing in Swift with the idea that maybe everyone will switch at some point.
So it's going to be kind of like C and Objective-C, where they had them both for 10 years, and then they said, oh, well, we're getting rid of
the old one, right?
Yeah.
And Swift is like Objective-C.
Swift is like Objective-C.
It's somewhat different, but it's not hugely different.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just kind of like Go is kind of like C++.
Okay.
But it's not C++, it's Go.
Yeah.
And I understand their thinking. They seem to have... Because one of the problems with C in general is that there's many ways to do the exact same thing.
And there's many ways to shoot yourself in the foot. That's the big problem.
Yes.
And that's why you see people trying to replace C and C++ has been a battle for a very long time. Right. And that was actually one of the things that Apple was trying to do with Coca, with Objective-C, was to find ways to get around the issues that you do have with C and C++, namely things like buffer overflows and memory issues, because you have to manage it by hand instead of having the machine figuring it out for you.
One of the selling points of Python, and a large group, including myself, I use Python quite a bit, isn't so much that the programming language is super powerful. I mean, the language is nice. It's got a lot of optimizations in it, and it's got some benefits to it. But mainly, it's the culture around it, is that there may be 10 ways to do the same thing, but everyone will yell at you if you do it. There's only one way to do something. They call it the Pythonic way, and it's actually a whole book's written on it. It's like, if you're going to do a loop, and you're going to do this and do this, you do it like this. Yeah, you can do it this other way, but don't. Don't do that.
There's the Zen of Python.
Yes, the Zen of Python. And so when you read a Python program, it's like that. I can just read it and I know what it's doing.
It's easy to read.
It's very easy to read, very easy to comprehend, and bugs become much more obvious because you're always doing it the same way. Therefore, if you make a distinction of difference, then you go, either that's something unique and they had to do it, or they did it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. And which is not the case with C. In fact, the original C, they have these obfuscation contests.
Yes.
In fact, part of the culture is how hard you can make it. It's kind of like...
Can you make it impossible to read?
Yes. This string of quasi-random digits, in fact, is a program. should you wish to delve into its complexities.
And I mean, some of them are cool. Some of them are like pictures. You open it up in an editor and you get a little piece of ASCII art that just happens to be a program too.
Oh, that's cool. A recursive program within a program?
And
or just ASCII art?
No, the source code is written out as ASCII art.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, and then you do have the quines where, the program will write the source code to its own program.
Mm-hmm. I have no idea what you guys are talking about, by the way, so there's no links to KOPN Tech Radio's Facebook page about this story. There's absolutely nothing. So.
I'll try to come up with a Pythonic way link later.
Okay.
Or just look up the word Pythonic.
I look up the Zen of Python.
Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, I don't know why they're coming up.
And we probably should put those links on our website too, shouldn't we?
You mean techradio.info?
Yeah. Let's have it mirror the Facebook.
Have it mirror somehow the Facebook feed.
Oh yeah, no, don't post them in two places. That'd just be
a waste of time.
Extra work.
I'm incompetent enough with one. Here's a great story. It really warms my heart.
All right.
Dark energy renders 97% of the galaxies in our observable universe permanently unreachable. Isn't that good to know?
Okay. Explain.
When you look at a star whose light arrives after traveling towards you for 100 years, you're seeing a star that's 100 light years away because the speed of light is finite. But when you look at a galaxy whose light arrives after traveling towards you for 100 million years, you're looking at a galaxy that's not 100 million light years away, but rather you're seeing a galaxy that's significantly farther away than that because of gravitational shift in dark matter.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right, because it's been moving the whole time.
Another reason space travel's dumb. But anyway, I thought...
Well, certainly, putting your money down on intergalactic travel is probably not a good stock move today.
No.
Since we haven't traveled to the first planet yet. I'm so going to Mars one day. I'll do it in my 200s, though.
Yeah. Okay, Kurzweil.
If I live that long.
No, man, you can do it in the virtual upload that you have of your mind.
I'll wait for the self-driving spaceship.
Or it'll happen on the Oculus Rift. One of those two. It'll happen somehow.
Google Galaxy. It's Google Maps Street View.
For the galaxies. So these galaxies are much, much farther away than they appear to be. Than the light. So they're farther away than the light actually traveled.
Right, and in fact, many of them are already gone.
Are gone, disappeared.
They're already gone, yeah.
You mean gone as in...
As in they've already burned out and we just don't know it.
Oh, okay.
Because it was over 100 million years ago that even the light that got to us. So in that span of 100 million years, a lot of stars have already died out. A lot of galaxies have already collapsed and collided with others and, just generally made a big mess out of it. That's right.
The poor aliens, man.
Yeah. Or all the light from that galaxy was absorbed by the TransXeno Corporation.
Oh, by a giant solar sail. That's really my favorite thing, when a solar sail reaches us first. From
From somewhere else.
Yeah.
What do you think solar eclipses are, man?
Killing me. Just killing me. We have 3 more minutes, guys.
All right. Yeah, we normally do news bites at that point, but we don't have any of that. There's quite a few interesting stories out there about both the use of robots already and the use of robots being planned for the nuclear plants in Japan, as well as the destroyed nuclear plant. What was that called?
Fukushima.
Fukushima, yeah. In fact, they had troubles with their robots. And the challenge there is if your robot breaks in the middle of the fallout zone, then it just stays there.
Yeah.
You'd have to build another robot
to go send it.
To go fix it. And if that one breaks, there's a pattern there.
Hey, I've got a math story for you.
There we go.
A rare 9-way kidney transplant happened in San Francisco. I don't even quite understand all this, but here's how it works. You've got some people, let's see, as a matter of math, the original couple who found they were not compatible to give a kidney for the other. In this case, another woman was one of the 7,000 people on the kidney transplant list. And another duo going through the same situation in the second hospital decided they would give up their kidneys in an effort to put this entire transplant together. The list continues to grow. And somehow 9 kidneys were transplanted all at the same time.
Oh, so to get the link so that everyone was compatible with at least one of the kidneys, you ended up with
another couple of people.
Yeah, you ended up with 9 people. That's pretty cool.
It's like a social chain for kidneys.
That's right. And then you can friend your friend's kidney on Facebook. Speaking of Facebook, we have a Facebook page, John?
You may have mentioned that.
Oh, okay, good. It's KOPN Tech Radio.
And iOS 9 is coming out, right?
It is.
It is.
In the fall.
The Supreme Court should be coming out with, or working on rulings regarding the future of APIs here.
That's good.
Really?
Basically, can you patent an API?
Oh, because of the Oracle versus Google thing.
Yes. Largely right now you can't patent an API, but there's various tweaks in the law where people are saying yes you can, except no one really wants that to happen.
And all the Supreme Court justices will have to open their flip phones and text each other about it.
Let me explain what an API is.
Yeah.
An API is basically, imagine you're going to a website and you go to, cnn.com/news/article 123. And then you go and you replace that 123 with a 345. With the computer, what you can do is you can say, okay, give me article 12345 in a computer-readable form, and then all of a sudden that becomes an API. Basically, anything that sets a standard of communication between two programs or two parts of a program is an API.
Right. So it's not the programs themselves.
It's the way they talk to each other, how they talk.
Yeah. Think of it as like programming a language.
It's not even programming a language. It's like...
Although it's more formal than that. In other words, if I'm going to send you 3 numbers, 4, 12, and 6, and the API describes that first one as a unit in inches, a unit in pounds, and a
size.
If we didn't agree on the API, you wouldn't know which number goes to which.
I wouldn't know what the numbers were.
But defining an API says, well, the first one is a unit of length, second one's a unit of weight, the third one's a unit of category, and then now that API allows us to communicate with each other reliably.
And the Supreme Court's going to hear arguments
whether that
you can patent that definition.
That the first one is a unit of weight and the second one's a unit of length. They're not saying that the programs that generate it are not copyrightable or patented. They are. But is the actual definition.
Right.
And this comes in, for example, we can say something like...
but it's what lets the world talk to each other.
Yeah.
That's
all right.
the key. Yeah.
Well, folks, you've wasted another hour listening to KOPN Tech Radio with your hosts, Mike, John, and Nabil. Tune in every week, Mondays at 6 p.m., or see us on our YouTube channel, KOPN Tech Radio. Thanks very much for listening, and have yourself a good night.